Hello and welcome back to our Go From Scratch series. Today we're going to talk about loops. Okay, so let's do it. Let's create a new file like we always do, and let's call this one loops. Loops.go. So in Golang there are three different types of loop, but they all use the same syntax, or they all use the same keyword. So in other languages you'll see there are different types of loops. You can have for loops, you can have while loops, you can have do while loops. In Go there's just the one, there's the for loop, but you can use it in three different ways. So let's take a look. Let's start off by just adding our boilerplate. So we'll add our sort of hello world structure in here. Let's start off with the first one. Now, if you've done any programming before, you would have seen this kind of style. This is the sort of C style loop. So the syntax might be kind of similar. So for is the keyword that we're going to be using a lot. And we start by initializing a variable, right? So we've got for I colon equals 0. So we're initializing that variable as 0. And now we're going to say I less than 9, let's say 10. And then I plus plus. Okay, and then we put the curly braces in here. And let's print out I is, and then we'll throw in the I variable there. Okay, let's save that and then let's run it. Go run loops. And here you can see our first loop. So I is 0, I is 1, I is 2, I is 3, all the way through to 9. So as you'd expect, we're iterating through this until we hit the I equals 10. So let's run through this. So for I, we initialize it at 0. So this is at the start of our loop, and then every time we're doing a check, we're saying is I less than 10. So if I is less than 10, then we continue on. So then we will do this function. We'll do all the functionality within these curly braces here. So all of this gets executed. So in this case, I is 0. So here we say I is 0. And then after that's finished, this part here will run. So here we increment the I value. So this plus plus, if you haven't seen this before, this takes whatever is stored in I already. So the first time it's 0, and then plus plus will increment it by 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. And then each time we go through and we do that. So we start off with 0, output that, then we plus 1, then it becomes 1. And that's what you can see here. So that's the first for loop that we can use. The next style of loop is similar to a while loop. So you may have used other languages where you have a loop that will continue while a certain condition is being met. So we can do a similar thing here by saying for. So again, in Go, there's only the for loop. So only one keyword you have to remember. But if we say for I is less than, let's say 20 to make it a bit longer. Right, so I is less than 20, then we do all of this here. So whatever's in here is going to keep on happening until I gets to 20. So that means it's kind of like this, but we need to handle the incrementing ourselves. So if that is what we're using to modify that. So we also are going to have to declare that up here. So let's just say I colon equals 0. So we'll initialize that. Now you'll notice in this case we need to use colon equals again, because while we are using an I variable here, it's only within the scope of this for loop here. So we do actually need to use the colon equals again. Okay, so we'll declare it there, so initialize it at 0, and then we'll check for this condition here. So for I is less than 20, we'll do format print print line, and then again I is, and then we'll just use that variable there. Okay, so let's make sure that we are able to see in the console which version we're running. So let's just say 2 while style for loop, and then in this one let's just add a little print statement here. So format print line 1, and then just say, I don't know, basic for loop. Okay, so let's save that, and then let's run it over here. Okay, okay, so we've right, this is a good example. So we've done something wrong and it's still looping. It's going forever. It hasn't stopped. So if I hit Control C, that will force it to exit. But if I scroll up here all the way up, you can see that it just keeps going. It's filled my entire terminal with I is 0. So I didn't do exactly what I said we need to do, which is increment this I value ourselves. So if we do I plus plus here, that should fix this. And now we can see that it'll run up until 20 and then stop. So here we've got our basic for loop, and now here we've got our while style for loop, where we're handling the incrementing ourselves. Cool. So yep. So as you can see, same sort of thing. This condition is checked first. So as long as I is less than 20, we'll continue here to execute this. Obviously, once we hit 20, it's no longer less than 20, and our for loop will stop. So let's take a look at what we did by accident, but let's do it on purpose this time. So we'll look at format print line 3, the infinite loop. Okay, so we had an infinite loop because we forgot this little part here. You can actually just do that straight away. So you don't need to give it a condition here. You can just say for, and then put in the curly braces, and this will loop forever. Let's do that just to see it in action. Okay, so we've got this here. And if we run it, it just keeps on going forever. So you probably can't see, but the terminal is just getting all used up here. So if you find yourself in this situation and you've accidentally created an infinite loop and you need to stop it, hit Control C in Windows. I think that would be Command C, or potentially still Control C on Mac, and Control C on Linux, and that should stop the program. Now let's look at breaking and continuing once we're already inside of a loop. So break and continue are keywords that kind of do exactly what they say. Break will stop the loop completely, and continue will just skip an iteration of it. So let's create a for loop similar to this first one that we've created here. So we'll add in the auto incrementer here, and that'll just make our life a bit easier. So let's type that out. So for whoa, so why did that? I'm not sure why that warning is coming up there. So for So for I colon equals 0, and then we'll say when until I is less than 20, and each time we will iterate we will increment I. Okay, so let's have a look at the continue keyword. So here we can bring in an if statement. So like we did last time, we can have these conditional statements. And let's say that if I modulus 2 is equal to 0, then we'll continue. Right, so the modulus here will check for if there's any remainder. So if we divide by 2 and there's no remainder, then essentially it's an even number, right? So 6 divided by 2, there's nothing left over. It's clean division. So every even number will use the continue keyword. But then let's add another statement here. So if I is equal to 10, then we will break. Okay, and then we need to obviously print line I is. And then let's throw it in there. Okay, so before we run this, I just want to run through what it's doing so that we can, let's go through what it's doing so we can see what we're going to expect when we run it. Okay, so we run through sorry, why is that format print line? What is that? Unreachable code. Why is that? Oh, okay. Okay, so this is a very good point. Okay, so we have an infinite loop here, and Go knows that this is an infinite loop. So it knows that we're never going to get to this point here, and it's throwing up a warning and telling us, hey, you're not going to get here. Don't even try to run this. So we might need to actually just comment out this here, or we could move it. Whoops, that copied it. Yeah, okay, let's move the infinite loop to the bottom here, and then yeah, I'll delete that one. Okay, so that's why that was grayed out and throwing an error. Actually, yeah, this is going to be annoying. So I'll just throw in a break here as well, just so that we don't run that forever. Okay. So let's look at our break and continue. So what is this doing? Sorry for the distractions. So for I, we set I as 0, so we initialize this variable as 0, and then the condition that we check for each time is if I is less than 20, and at the end of each iteration we will increment I by 1. Okay, but within this for loop here, we have a check. So we have an if statement to see that if the I modulus 2 is equal to 0, we continue. So that means if it's an even number, essentially, this evaluates to true and we continue, which means we don't run any more of this. We just skip right through to the next iteration. So I will be incremented and then we move on to the next one. This condition here, we're checking to see if I is equal to 10. And if I is equal to 10, we break. So that means that will end the loop completely. So we should get I is 10, and then our loop breaks and stops and then continues on down here. Now, our condition here is if I is less than 20. So what we're doing here essentially is we're breaking early. So it's a silly little loop. Like there's no way you would write a program like this, but it does demonstrate that you're able to break out of a loop before you get to the end of it here. So continue and break. Let's run it and see if it actually does what we're expecting. Okay, so break and continue, that's this section here. So we get up to I is 19. And then, okay, so that's a good point. I said it was going to get I is 20, but we don't. We break before we get there. And the reason is because we break before we get to this print statement. So the loop ends right here. It doesn't run the final parts of the code. As soon as this break is hit, the loop is over, and we continue on from outside of the loop to this section here. So here's our infinite loop, which we do actually stop. So it's not an infinite loop anymore. Okay, so that's good. So now, actually, we should also check. So we've got I modulus 2. So any even number should be skipped. So we continue here. So we've got 1. Then when we get to 2, we don't actually display it. So yeah, so we skip over. Now, that is actually a good point too. So we don't actually... Yeah, I just realized this is going all the way to 20. So this isn't actually being hit at all. And the reason for that is because anytime there's an even number, it's going to skip. It's going to continue on without running the rest of this code. So it's going to finish here and then go back up to the loop. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. So okay, I want did you at home pick that up? I certainly did not until I read this and then realized. So how do we fix it? We need to change this to something that's not an even number, because an even number is never going to get here with our program. So let's change it to 9, and then we can break on 9. So we should get to this point here where it is 9, but we'll break before it prints it out. So we should only see up to 7. Let's try that again and see if it does actually do what we're expecting this time. Okay, so that is better. So I is 7. So that's what we are expecting this time. Cool. Okay. Useful to see these mistakes. It's useful to type these things out. It's useful to run through them. And it's actually the mistakes that you learn from. So I'll leave this in. I won't edit it. I think we can all go on this. Well, now if you're watching this, we've all been on this journey together, and we've kind of seen how it works. We've seen how it breaks, and we've seen how we can fix it and make it work again. Okay, so the last thing we're going to look at is iterating over a range. So this is a cool thing that we have in Golang. Let me just type this out. Okay, so looping with range is a cool thing we can do in Go, because it allows us to automatically loop over any kind of list, which in Go, one of the most common ones that you'll use is a slice. So it's kind of like an array, but with no set value, no defined value. So let's use that one as an example. So first of all, let's create our slice of values that we're going to use, and let's just call it names. Very, very basic, boring example, but it'll demonstrate it clearly. So we define that here. We haven't gotten into it yet. We'll probably have another episode on slices, because it's a very interesting one. But the way that we define it is using these brackets here, these square brackets, and the type. So here we're saying that this is a slice of strings. So it's essentially a list of strings all contained within the same variable. And here, let's just give them a few names. So Steve, Mary, and Robert. Okay, so we've got 3 names that we can iterate over. And now let's do our for statement again. So for index value, and then we use, which may seem a little bit weird, but we use the colon equals in order to say that we're assigning these values here from the range of names. So essentially, it looks a little bit strange until we look at what's happening with the range here. So range is essentially saying for all of the values in this names variable, grab them here and then assign the index, which is going to be the position in the object. So here we've got 0, 1, 2, and then the value itself. So Steve, Mary, Robert. Let's see it in action. So again, we'll just use format, print line, and let's have, well, let's just print them both out. So index and value. Okay, so let's, I'll just clear the screen here, and then let's run our loop. And then here we go. So looping with range, we've got 0, Steve, 1, Mary, and 2, Robert. So as you can see, range allows us to iterate through all of these in the list or in the slice in this case, and it'll also include the index. Now, what happens if you don't really care about the index? In that case, you can not have to use it. So in Go, again, I don't think we've been through this yet. But if you are ever in a situation like this and you don't want to use the index, you can just do a little underscore. So that means that there's a value that's coming back. So range is going to return two different variables, but for the one that's coming back for index, just kind of ignore it. Just kind of drop it on the floor. And that's what that underscore means. So value, and then again, we'll do range names. We'll just do the exact same thing. But in this case, we can just print the name. Sorry, the value. Let's change that actually. Let's make that name. So here, yeah, we're iterating through names. We'll assign the name here. We'll drop the index on the floor, and then we'll just print out the name. So let's run that. I'll clear the screen. And there we go. So we run it the first time with the indexes, and then the second time we just totally ignore them and only print out the name. So that's our look at loops. So the for loop for everything, but can be used in many different ways. So it's quite versatile in Go. If you're enjoying this series, please subscribe, please like, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned for the next one.